You're watching Truth Talk News.
The lethality of their power is greater than ever. Their capacity to impose control over the politically awakened masses of the world is at a historical low. And in earlier times, it was easier to control a million people than physically to kill a million people. Today, it is infinitely easier to kill a million people than to control a million people.
Something's gotten lost. That something is the truth. What is it in us that seeks the truth? Is it our minds? Or is it our hearts?
In my many years, I've seen many things. I've seen presidents fail. I've seen terrible wars waged under the false pretenses of weapons of mass destruction and terrorism. I've seen tragedy after tragedy, failure after miserable failure. The opening of crude and troublesome facilities, the poor treatment of the helpless, the homeless, and the constant push against equal rights for countless minorities. And year after year, this country refuses to elect someone who will steer this country down the path of righteousness. Someone who can crush our problems with the economy, with our national defense, with unemployment, with healthcare. There can't possibly be one man who can handle all of that.
Robby Wells has been a public servant for over 20 years, serving as teacher, football coach, and a member of the Army National Guard. Mr. Wells was adopted at birth and grew up in the southeastern part of the country as the son of a Baptist minister. On December 22, 2007, in his first season as head coach, Savannah State saw as many wins in that season as the previous 5 seasons combined. He's the most successful coach at Savannah State in the past decade. Throughout his coaching career, Robby Wells has seen great success, and he attributes that to helping other people believe and achieve to their full potential. Mr. Wells joined the Army National Guard at the pinnacle of his coaching career at the age of 38. He had always advised his players that serving your country was the most honorable endeavor that a person could achieve, and he believed that he needed to lead by example. Robby Wells resides in Charlotte, North Carolina, where he attends Elevation Church, one of the fastest growing churches in the nation. Mr. Wells also has a small marketing business based in Charlotte that employs college students from local schools. Hi, I'm Howard Nema. Thank you for watching Truth Talk News. It's February 9th, 2013, and this is the first live broadcast of 2013 here on Truth Talk News. I had put up a bunch of videos and different taped broadcasts, but this one is live, and it's 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and I'm very happy to have as my guest 2016 Independent presidential candidate Robby Wells. Welcome.
Well, it's great to be here, Howard, and great to be able to visit with you and the audience that you have here today, this Saturday afternoon. I hope you guys are doing okay after that major storm that came through.
Well, I have, we did about half of the cleanup. We got about 30 inches of snow here in Torrington, Connecticut. It was pretty rough, actually. We're lucky to be okay here. No power losses or anything like that, you know. So,
well, our thoughts and prayers are with the people in the northeastern part of the United States, because I know that any time a major storm comes through, just like a couple of months ago right there in the New York area, a lot of people can be affected adversely, and this is a time that all Americans can come together and we can show what the true American spirit is about to help those out that are in need. Let's go ahead and get into this thing, because time is of the essence.
Absolutely.
Because these are drastic times, and drastic times require drastic measures. It's time for us to put aside all of these differences that we have in this country. It's time for us to start working together. There are too many petty differences that are creating divisions in this country because of labels, and it's time to take these labels and throw them in the garbage can. The only label that we all need to be worried about right now is being Americans, You see, whether you're black or white, young or old, male or female, gay or straight, Democrat or Republican, constitutionalist or libertarian, Green Party or even an independent like myself, or whether you're an evangelical Christian or a Catholic, an agnostic or a Mormon, a Muslim or an atheist. We are all different in this country, but this is the greatest melting pot in the world. So we can embrace those differences because we have one common bond. We're all Americans. And we need to put aside all these petty differences so that we can start working together so that we can get through devastation like what's going on in the Northeast right now, but even greater than that, so that we can right this ship and get this economy moving back in the right direction. And if people will go on my campaign website, which is www.robbywells2016.com, they can check out the game plan, which is my step-by-step common sense approach of what we've got to do to get this country moving back in the right direction.
Well, absolutely, and I did go to the website, and I understand that you're starting a movement or an organization for veterans for kids. Vets for kids.
That's exactly right, Howard. Vets for kids.
I think that'll help our economy, wouldn't it? Isn't that true?
It will. There's a lot of things that's going to help. You know, in lieu of the tragedies that we have seen in the past few months, from Aurora, Colorado, to the shooting in the mall in Oregon. Of course, Gabby Giffords with the other victims that were with her in Arizona. We've had shootings, of course, in Wisconsin, and then most recently the Sandy Hook Elementary School in Newtown, Connecticut, that tragedy. We've got to make sure that this doesn't happen again. That's one thing that I will agree on with President Obama. He says this can't happen again, and he's right. But I do not agree with his approach of more gun legislation. Gun legislation is great for the people that abide by the laws, but for the psychopathic killers that are out there, and in a realistic world, there are some people out there like that.
Yeah, they're not going to obey the law. The laws only affect law-abiding citizens.
You're exactly right. So what we've got to do is step back, take a pause, which is what I did after Sandy Hook, and say, okay, is there anything that I can think of that could actually help this country? And when you look at what's going on in this country, unemployment, we've got over 20 million Americans that are unemployed and another 25 million that are underemployed. We've got 39 million Americans living in poverty and 149 million Americans existing on low income and relying on some sort of government assistance. That's half our population. That is not the American dream. So my plan is called Vets for Kids, and Vets for Kids will take care of three major issues going on in our country right now. These are hot topics. The first issue it will take care of is making sure that every American's Second Amendment right is protected, the right to bear arms, and to make sure that it is not infringed upon. The second thing that this is going to do, this Vets for Kids program, is protect all the children in the school setting. And then the third thing would be to employ a lot of these unemployed veterans so that they could actually protect our children in the school setting. Who better to protect our children? The veterans that have taken an oath to protect the people of the United States. And here's the thing, that oath doesn't just apply for when they were active duty. That oath is for the rest of their life. I've talked with numerous veterans and children and their parents, and they think that this is a great plan. Now, you'll get people on the liberal side that will say, well, what about PTSD, this, that, and the other? You know what? We've all got our problems. We've got to put them aside and realize if we've got a solution to some of these problems, we've got to start looking at that. I will say this, anybody that goes and works with our children should go through a screening process, whether it's a teacher, whether it's an administrator, or in this case, veterans that are actually working.
All right, so any one of these people that they would be demonizing, of course, would be screened out because they're not appropriate. You know, they obviously, if there are many people that would be employed, we know hundreds of thousands of vets that are not, but maybe of that percentage, only a small percentage really that are not eligible. I mean, it's just unbelievable to think that every veteran is going to have post-traumatic stress disorder and go postal. I mean, that's just not going to happen. But they want us to believe that through the media and for the attention that they're putting on that.
Well, you're exactly right there, Howard. And what I would say is this program will give parents peace of mind, so they can rest assured when they're off working during the day that their children are in a safe and learning environment. I know that this program will work because just last week there was a shooting in one of the schools in the Atlanta, Georgia area, and the actual shooter was a student, and this student was subdued by a security guard that was actually on campus. So whether it's a security guard or whether it's a veteran acting as that security guard, either way, I know that it would work. You can also look, there's several school districts in Texas that allow concealed carry with their teachers. They never have a problem. If you look at the state of Utah, Utah has several universities that allow concealed carry. They do not have a problem at all. I venture to say, if this Vets for Kids program had been in place, which would go from kindergarten all the way through college, you could run this all the way at every university as well, then a lot of these tragedies, such as Virginia Tech, such as Sandy Hook, could have been avoided. So I'm all for it, and there's a lot of veterans that are showing their support, of course, for it. Here's a way that we can put thousands of veterans back to work. In fact, if you look at the numbers, we could put close to 500,000 veterans back to work with this. And I'm not waiting to become president of the United States to come up with great plans. The president has to be a big thinker, and he has to come up with these plans, and then he has to get his staff to enact them. Well, I'm not president yet, but the people, okay, are the ones that can enact this across the country. This doesn't need to go through the federal level. This needs to be on a state and local level. We've been appealing to state legislators. In fact, just last week we were in Richmond, Virginia, at their state capitol, meeting with legislators, Democrats and Republicans alike. And they all love this plan. In fact, to the point where one legislator is looking at actually writing a bill and pushing this through to make it legislation in the state of Virginia. We've also met with legislators in the state of Pennsylvania. And this will continue and continue as we go through this thing. So we're excited about this program. We're going to go across the country. In fact, we're setting up a bus tour right now for this spring, and we're going to get to a lot of the states. And what we want to do is go to the state capitals and hold rallies, Vets for Kids rallies, where the veterans, the children, and their parents can all come alike in support of this program and this plan to take care of our children. Because you see, if we take care of our children, we're taking care of the future of this country. You see, the children of today are going to be the ones that come up with the great inventions for tomorrow. The children of today, there's going to be somebody out there right now, a child, that's going to go through and find a cure for AIDS. There's going to be children today that are going to be able to come up with great plans of helping us become energy independent, so that we do not have to rely on these foreign countries for their oil like we have done right now. And really, we've got to become energy independent, because not doing so is not just an economic issue, it's an issue of national defense, because Desert Storm, 9/11, the war in Afghanistan, the war in Iraq were all directly related with us doing bad business with countries to gain their oil supply, and these countries harbor terrorists and support terrorist activities. So
well, that's a very blanket. It's like it's a lot more involved than that.
Yeah,
as you know, but certainly a big part of it. You know, I agree with all of that. It's just that some of the things, the events, you know, that we're discussing here are really, you know, all orchestrated through the CFR and the this is like the stuff that I talk about here on Truth Talk News, is that you've got to look at the Council on Foreign Relations relationship with the oil companies and the internationalists, the bankers, the Federal Reserve. It's all tied into this, as we know, and the wars are as a result of it.